Welcome to the Business Happy Hour with your hosts, Frank Cotto from Lincoln Lending Group, Ryan Pelkey from Tampa Bay Plumbers, and Doug Ford with Suncoast Roofing Solutions on 970 WFLA. These three business owners will teach you how to work to live it up, not live to work. Now sit back, grab a cold one if you have one, and get ready for some serious business talk with three hilariously serious business owners. Now, your host of the Business Happy Hour, Frank Cotto.
Hey, Tampa Bay, good morning and welcome back to the Business Happy Hour. We are glad you guys are here listening to us. We appreciate you as our listeners, and do not forget that we are on Facebook Live every Wednesday at 12:30, every other Wednesday at 12:30, and Friday at 12:30. Or you can always catch us on 970 if you're listening right now, bright and early on Sunday mornings, or catch us on our Facebook page, the Business Happy Hour. And make sure you like us and follow us if you like our crazy banter over here. So in studio, as usual, my incredible co-host, Ryan Pelkey, owner of Tampa Bay Plumbers. How we doing, Ryan?
Fantastic. Phenomenal as always.
Awesome. And Doug Ford, the owner of Suncoast Roofing Solutions, 888-888-ROOF. How we doing, Doug?
Oh, great. It's actually raining, so I'm pretty happy.
So, Doug, when it rains, do you actually see money falling from the sky?
You know, it's funny. Gary Burden, we always talked about it. He'd call me up and say, hey, it's raining money.
Is that arms dealer guy, Gary Burden? He's going to kill me.
He might kill you.
No, it's totally legal arms dealing, I think. But.
I think. For the most part.
For the most part. But Ryan, you too, though. When it rains, don't plumbers do better? I mean, things leak and things like that, you know?
You know what we see a lot of is sinkholes from infrastructure failures. They're not actual. They're not real sinkholes.
In the veterans?
What?
So I was driving home the other day, and there was a small sinkhole that opened up by my street on the vet.
Yeah, it's not a real sinkhole.
Well, it's because of construction.
Yeah, it's when you have like a small depression in the ground, people call it a sinkhole. 9 times out of 10, it's because there's a leaking pipe underneath. That when water leaks into the pipe, it's also taking sand with it.
We had all that rain the day before, and I think we hadn't had rain in so long that all that new construction just kind of settled.
Exactly, and so it basically exposes all the failures that were always there.
Yep.
It just with it not raining, you don't see them yet.
Well, most homeowners in Central Florida, especially Pasco, when they see a sinkhole in the yard, they don't call it a sinkhole; they call it free money.
Well, not anymore with all the regulations and rules have been passed against that.
I know. I think we missed the boat on that one, didn't we? God.
Yeah, it's
almost as bad as hail damage.
Doug knows nothing about illegitimate hail damage. I promise you, nothing. We won't even go there. So,
thank you.
Let's. Now we started the show out awfully light, but I do want to introduce. We have a couple guests in studio. Our first guest that's going to be on with us, and you're going to hear his voice right now and throughout the show, is Dr. Douglas Astolfi. Dr. Douglas Astolfi is the former president of St. Leo University.
Nope, I was vice president.
Vice president?
Yep.
I'm going to call you president.
No, they won't like that.
All right, fine. All right, we're going to call him former vice president, Dr. Astolfi. And he's also an expert on Asia and the economy in China and North Korea, which goes right along with what we like to talk about on the show. So thanks for coming.
I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. And so you chime in anytime you want during the show, anything we're saying. I even told him he could disagree with us. So.
I was going to say, I'll just disagree with you as we go.
That's perfect. We're actually going to have you and Doug switch places.
So are you retired now, or what are you doing?
No, I'm teaching history.
Oh, okay. At St. Leo?
Yes, at St. Leo.
Nice.
And actually, history was one of my favorite subjects. I love it. Yeah. And I hated math, and I'm a banker. Go figure. Yeah. I don't know. Shouldn't say that on the radio, should I?
I was going to say, just so you keep the books straight, we're okay.
Exactly. Well, we all have people for that. Just like when I was in school, I said, why the hell do I have to learn math when I have this calculator here? And now look at our iPhones. It's like you almost don't need to know anything almost anymore. You carry these stupid things around.
That's about right.
And I want to ask you about that later in the show about the kids and the phones these days. And I'm curious. Are we seeing people checking out? Are they as attentive as they used to be and things like that? I'm always curious about that because we went to college. Actually, Ryan and I went to college together, and think about that. There were no iPhones when we went to college.
No, I just got a cell phone. I think it was my sophomore or junior year of college. That's when I first got my first phone.
Man, okay.
Yeah, I think when we were in high school, if you had a phone, you would actually get expelled.
Yeah, so I remember when I was in high school, which actually I graduated in '97, so it's not even like that far back. But we had numbers still.
Yep.
And and my dad actually was a detective, and he gave me because he wanted to be able to get in touch with me, and before I had a cell phone. And I specifically remember I got pulled into the principal's office one day, and he accused me of being a drug dealer because I had the beeper, okay? I'm like, actually, my dad's a detective, and he gave me this. So the guy started going through all of the phone numbers in my beeper. And I could tell you some funny stories, but you remember beepers, how you type in, like, words with the numbers? And yeah, well, there was,
Upside down.
Yeah, there was one particular really funny one that I had to explain to the principal. I'll have to check on break from Verlander to see if I can actually say it or not. But anyway, so that was funny, beepers. And then I think when I was 16, I got my first cell phone. But I don't even know where I was going with this. But cell phones didn't really exist that much in our college, so we didn't have the access to knowledge that kids have now.
Well, you also didn't have the distraction.
I was just say, is it knowledge or distraction? Because
That's
like
what I want to
both.
ask the doctor. Yeah, do you see it in college as more of a distraction, or?
It can go either way. In my classes, I don't let them pull out a cell phone.
Okay,
That's
good.
smart.
If you pull out a cell phone, if your cell phone rings in my class,
You're out.
no, I get to answer.
Doesn't
That's
doesn't
awesome.
that hurt your students' feelings? And
Oh, no.
I mean,
No, we have a lot of
can
fun with it.
they go to a safe zone?
They can tell me beforehand that they're expecting something that's an emergency,
Yeah.
and then I tell them to sit by the door. But
There you go.
Otherwise, if it goes off, I answer it, and I get to say anything I want. Now, on the flip side, if my phone goes off, any one of them can answer it.
Wow. So hopefully you have it on silent.
Keeps it on silent for me, or in my desk drawer back in the office.
There you go.
That's
Oh,
fair.
man.
That's fair.
That is an absolute fair bet.
But I do want to bring it back. We see it all the time right now. Freedom of speech is under attack at lots of universities across the United States.
So-
What's your experience with that?
I've been lucky so far. I haven't had to confront it.
Really, that's
I
good.
see it a lot on other campuses.
So what I want to do is I want to register to speak at your college and see how that goes.
Sure, why not?
If they listen to my show, they're definitely protesting. But I'm glad Ryan brought that up because when that whole thing happened a few months ago with Berkeley and that one controversial speaker, I can't remember his name.
Coulter, and before that was Milo.
Milo.
Yeah,
Right.
Milo.
Right. So I didn't even know very much about Milo at the time, and what I remember specifically was seeing the video on TV of these guys dressed in black and all this, and I watched it for 5 minutes, and I never realized that was America. I did not realize that was freaking Berkeley, and I'm like, what do you think? In all honesty, I mean, is it okay? Is it what do people in academia right now think about that?
Well, I think there's a split. There's a significant number of people who believe that what they're doing is the correct thing.
Okay.
That you don't want to promote idiocy.
Right.
And Milo can promote idiocy on a couple of levels.
I could see that.
On the flip side, if you don't have a fair and open exchange of ideas, Ann Coulter, for example, who I disagree with strongly about just about everything,
Yeah.
ought to have a right to be speaking.
Right, because she's professional.
And her, exactly.
Right.
Her voice is a rational voice from the opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah, and she'll actually listen to the opposite side and
That's
have a
right.
fair, open debate.
And they'll have a debate. Yeah,
Right.
Milo isn't going to do that.
Right.
So
I
I
agree
can
with
see
you.
keeping a Milo off campus. I can't see keeping an Ann Coulter off the campus, or even a Bill O'Reilly.
I think about it like this. I think that if let's just say Milo is all of his ideas are horrible, isn't it important for these kids to be able to discern and be able to say, you know what, this isn't for me, and get up and walk out respectfully and not take part in it? Why do they have to have that censored completely from their lives?
Well, that's the mistake that I think the schools are making.
Yeah, I think you can't censor it completely.
But they did in that case. I mean,
No, they censored it from their campus.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
I have a right to keep you out of my private club. And the campus is in many ways a private club.
Now, is St. Leo public or private?
Private.
Okay, so St. Leo, I agree, 100%. But a state-funded school, do you think they have the right to do that?
If in fact,
Like a Milo, I get it, because you could see inciting violence, you could say that
Exactly,
the guy,
and that's
but
where
like
I am.
Ann Coulter wants to
No.
speak at Florida State University.
right, that she should be able to speak at Florida State
Right,
University.
because the taxpayers are paying.
Sure. I would say she should be able to speak at St. Leo University, to pick on my own.
Right.
Or any other private institution, because we ought to have an open dialogue.
Right.
I agree.
That's what higher education is for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't want to stop people from hearing either side.
Right. That's America.
Well, it just creates closed-minded people.
That's right.
We don't need that.
We don't need any more of those.
And it sets these
please,
kids
right.
up for disaster when they get in the real world and they realize that, whoa, this isn't a safe place. There is no safe zones here.
Yeah.
I'm hearing a lot of things that are really offending. This is a very offensive, environment.
Well, which is actually good for you as a human being to feel that way.
Right. And so why take that away from these kids
I
for
totally
4 or
agree.
5 years, 6 years, however long they go to school for, when they're just getting started in their lives? It doesn't make sense to me.
I agree.
And I'm not disagreeing with that when we talk about a respectable point of view.
Yeah.
If you've got somebody who's inciting violence, it goes back to you can't shout fire in a crowded theater.
Right.
I guess I don't know who Milo is, so I can't even comment on that.
You know what's
So-
funny? is I
Look
think
him up.
he's
You'll probably
gay.
like him.
He is gay, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, if yeah.
I would think that would be a very diverse type of you get some diversity coming to your college campus. Instead, they don't even allow them to come.
Right, and I thought that exact same thing. And there's a conservative, and I failed to remember the name, but he is also gay, and he's a pro-Trump conservative. And I remember that he was shunned recently from doing some talk somewhere. And I thought that was really strange how the line is kind of being drawn there. When
Yeah, it doesn't matter about anything else.
Right, they
whether-
only are looking at politics.
Exactly.
Not looking at point of view. And I like the doctor's opinion is that everybody should have a fair and open forum, and open debate is the proper thing for this country. We are founded on these freedoms.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So you totally deviated, Ryan, from my Manchester bombing thing, but
Everybody knows about the Manchester bombing thing anyway.
that is true.
I'm really happy to hear his insight on this.
Yeah. Hey, Berlander, my clock is right, correct? With 33. Okay, just making sure we're on a couple times. So we have a couple seconds left. When we get back from the break, we're gonna have more with Dr. Douglas Astolfi, and we're also going to be talking about the Manchester bombing in the UK. If you were living under a rock, then you missed that one. And Trump is overseas. He's creating peace in the Middle East right now, or at least attempting, like all of his predecessors. And I want to talk about that and get everyone's opinion. You're listening to the Business Happy Hour on 970 and Facebook Live, as well as the Business Happy Hour online. So look us up, and we'll be back in just a minute.
Everyone has a bank, but you definitely need a Frank. Lincoln Lending Group specializes in mortgages that banks won't touch, like loans for people with 1 day out of foreclosure, bankruptcy, and short sale. Call Frank today at 813-MORTGAGE, and remember, you drop the E and he drops the fee. Call Ryan at 813-PLUMBER for the most reliable professional plumber in town. Tampa Bay Plumbers is available day and night for your emergency plumbing needs. Find them on the web at tampaplumber.net and get a coupon for service. Do you have a roof leak but no one to trust? You need to call Doug with Suncoast Roofing Solutions at 888-888-ROOF, where honesty, integrity, and craftsmanship come first. Find them on the web at suncoastroofingsolutions.com. And now, your host of the Business Happy Hour, Frank Cotto.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Business Happy Hour. Hey, one thing, if you guys are watching us live on Facebook, we're switching up some cameras and whatnot, so we are a little bit blurry, more blurry than we would like to see ourselves.
That's probably good for you.
and I'm the farthest away, so it's actually good for you guys that all these good looks are this far away in the camera. But we'll have the new equipment. No laughs. Come on, guys. Come on. We'll have
Blurry helps me.
Yeah, right. You're the closest one actually in the camera.
You know, we got radio faces for a reason. So.
We do. We put a little Vaseline on the lens, you know, like the old 70s porn and stuff. Is that what they did? I don't know. But anyway, I've never watched one. But
something's on the lens.
Whoa! All right. Jeez. All right. So I also want to mention we have another guest who's going to be coming up in our fourth segment. It is Sonia Valorand, and Sonia is one of our realtor partners over with Robert Slack Fine Homes, and we're going to be talking with her in the last segment. But I want to jump right over to this Manchester thing. We always have to talk about the most recent news, and it's extremely sad. It angers me actually what happened over there. You know, terrorist attack is horrible no matter what, but this one is extra bad. Done at a concert that a lot of children were attending. So
lots of young girls.
Yeah,
teenage
young girls.
I think the youngest person was 8.
8 years old. An 8-year-old died at the concert with her mother. I mean, sick. There's nothing worse than what I heard about this. 22 dead, possibly more coming. I think 55 or 60 injured. Some severely.
20 critically, I think, are still critically injured.
Yeah, I mean, this death toll could double overnight. And the sickest part, like I said, is there were children involved. You know, obviously nobody, I hope none of our listeners condone terrorism, but I mean, talking about, we need to stomp this off of our earth, guys. I mean, people who are going to kill children, it's one thing, you know, in a military sense, you know, combatants, people who are signing up for this type of thing, but not children.
A concert.
It's a really tough situation when you have the ideology that these folks have. I mean, I saw a report that said that 20% of Islamic or Muslim people that live in the UK, they are sympathetic to the bombings that have happened in the past. 20%, and that just seems like such a high number. How do you get out of this? You know.
Well, I'll tell you how you get out of it, Ryan. Is put your foot down right now in America. I mean, a lot of people disagree with some of the policies of keeping, certain people out of the country. But we have to be more vigilant. I don't think we have to be racist or anything and just put a blanket statement. But we have to be vigilant. We have to pay attention to who we're letting into our country right now. The problem that Europe is having, this is my opinion, is because they have such an open door policy and they have allowed people in over the years. So you let in the good, you let in the bad, but no matter what, you're letting in a very high population of people who don't agree with you and actually want to do harm to you and your families.
Yeah.
Now, it goes back a little bit, though, to what we were talking about in the last segment.
Yes.
Where, how do you keep out the ideas? If we just look at what happened in Tampa a couple of days ago, where the 2 young kids got killed in Tampa Palms.
What happened? I'm not on that.
Were you not on that?
No.
Okay, there was a murder in Tampa Palms 2 days ago.
Okay.
Young guy came home, shot his 2 roommates, went to a local coffee shop with his gun, and explained that he had just killed some people.
USF students?
No.
Okay.
They went over to the cops came, coffee shop, called the police. Police showed up. Kid said, yeah, I killed my roommates. They're back at the house. They went back over to the apartment complex, discovered the 4th roommate sitting outside crying because he had found 2 of his roommates murdered. 4th roommate was in camouflage. He's a National Guardsman. They went into the house and then they went into the garage and discovered a huge cache of explosives.
Okay, I did see something about explosives found.
Right.
Okay, so
These are the same guys.
what's the story?
They had become, the one who had done the shooting was a radical Islamist. He's not a Muslim. He's an American kid born in the United States, converted, and he's going to blow people up. the National Guardsman had a picture of Timothy McVeigh on his dresser, and that was his hero. And he was the one
domestic
building,
terrorist, Timothy McVeigh,
right?
yeah, Oklahoma City bombing.
Yep. And he was building the bombs that they were going to use.
Oh my God.
Where they were going to use them, we don't know yet.
So
and
what about the other two?
The other two had insulted Islam. So the kid who had converted to Islam, at least this is the report I read, the kid who converted to Islam blew them both away.
And that's on American soil.
Yep.
So how do you?
And none of them were born outside of this country. They're all.
So we had a domestic terrorist.
Yep.
We had an Islamic convert terrorist, U.S. citizen.
Right, living
and
together.
And then we probably had two normal guys.
So,
at least we can
what that is a product of technology and the internet.
Yes.
So is Islam the problem?
Well, I believe that there is a section of Islam that is the problem. But
Well, there is a radical side to Islam. There's no question at all.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, we're not going to keep the ideas out just because
because we
set
keep
up
the
a
people
policy.
out.
Yeah. We're going to have to find a way to confront the ideas and do a better job of letting people know what we stand for.
So here, my thing is when you have a problem within a specific belief system sector of people, the best people to stop that are the people who are the good ones.
Yes.
And so I like what Trump was saying overseas when he was calling on the good believers of Islam to step up and stamp it out from inside. You and I from the outside, it's going to be very difficult for us to stamp it out.
We're never going to be
We don't
able
know
to
who's
snap
on the
it out.
inside.
No, because we don't know.
We have no idea.
It really falls on the responsibility of the peaceful believers of Islam to
That's very
stamp out
true.
the bad ones.
Yep.
You know, just like anything else, if you've got a bunch of green people that are doing horrible things, well, the good green people need to talk to the bad green people. But until we
But
do,
if we shut down every single mosque and made that made Islam just an illegal, you couldn't do it here in the United States. Do you think that would help or would it hurt?
I think that'd hurt.
that's.
How so?
Well, I tell you what, we've got 20
I got
seconds
the
left.
idea.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of religion is an even
freedom
bigger
of
one,
religion.
you know.
Okay, let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back to that question. That is a very interesting question. I want to get everybody's point of view, but freedom of speech, that's number one. You're listening to the Business Happy Hour on 970. We're getting heavy, guys. Stay tuned when we come back. The question is, do we stamp out all the mosques in the United States? We'll be back in a minute.
Everyone has a bank, but you definitely need a Frank. Lincoln Lending Group specializes in mortgages that banks won't touch, like loans for people with 1 day out of foreclosure, bankruptcy, and short sale. Call Frank today at 813-MORTGAGE, and remember, you drop the E and he drops the fee. Call Ryan at 813-PLUMBER for the most reliable professional plumber in town. Tampa Bay Plumbers is available day and night for your emergency plumbing needs. Find them on the web at tampaplumber.net and get a coupon for service. Do you have a roof leak but no one to trust? You need to call Doug with Suncoast Roofing Solutions at 888-888-ROOF, where honesty, integrity, and craftsmanship come first. Find them on the web at suncoastroofingsolutions.com. And now, your host of the Business Happy Hour, Frank Cotto.
Okay, guys, welcome back. We left you with that little cliffhanger here. Ryan brought up a very interesting question. You know, if you're going to get rid of a problem, you know, what if, you know, hypothetically, we went and made Islam an illegal religion in the United States, which is, by the way, is completely against the Constitution. That would never happen. But would that solve the problem?
Would it though if we were at war if it came to the point where if we actually declared war on Islam?
I think people would rebel from within.
Yeah, I do too. And you can't declare war on Islam because we're not fighting Islam.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is Islam is not a state.
That's right.
It's an ideology.
Yeah, well,
It's
it's a religion.
Right. So
There are, that would be,
But we're fighting the bad ideologies of it, not the good.
exactly. But the vast majority, using your numbers,
yeah.
20% of the Islamic people may follow this kind of a radical path.
Right.
That means 80% of the Islamic people don't.
Okay, so let me
who are we
run
gonna
that.
go after?
We talked that stat months ago, and let's say it's 20. Let's even say it's 10% are bad. Well, we did the math on how many people of
Right.
Islamic faith there are in the world.
Sure.
And
Hundreds of millions of people.
It comes out to millions hundreds of millions of the bad ones.
So like there's no, it wasn't 100
No,
million.
it was
bad
millions
ones.
of the bad ones.
I think it was
Hundreds of
100
millions of the
100
good
million.
ones.
There's a
Right. Good
couple
ones.
million Muslims.
There's probably
A couple
10 million
billion.
bad ones.
Billions. It's the largest
Billion.
religion in the world.
Yeah.
It's so let me ask you this. So Dr. Astolfi,
Actually, Christianity is the largest religion in the world if you take all the sects together.
if you take all the sects
Yep,
together,
yep.
okay, that's the difference. All right. So you're a little bit older than us. I don't know. You're not old enough to probably remember this, but what happened in was it World War II with the Japanese when we put them in internment camps and stuff like that?
Yep.
What was the opinion of the nation at that time?
At that time, the opinion of most of the people in the country was that that was a good thing.
Okay. So what about if we
Turned
did
out to be
something
a
like
bad
that?
thing.
Yeah, in the end,
In
yeah.
the end, it was a really stupid move.
Yeah. But did it? I think it might have solved the problem of some domestic attacks and stuff like that.
Never,
Or is nothing ever proven on that?
nothing was ever proven that any of the people who got locked up were ever going to do anything bad.
Yeah.
In fact, the big push in those camps was to get people out so that they could volunteer for the U.S. military.
Ah.
Interestingly, the Japanese battalion, which is the most decorated battalion in American history, was only allowed to fight in Europe because we were so afraid that if we sent them to fight
They would
in
flip
Asia,
over.
they'd flip over.
Wow.
So we sent them to Europe.
I love having a history
I
professor
know,
on
great
our
for
show.
historians. I knew you'd have an answer to that. That's great. So I mean, I've heard people have brought that up. Over here, open up internment camps and whatever, and put people in. And,
It didn't work then, it's not going to work now.
yeah, maybe the Moab bombs will work.
Maybe.
So what's your thoughts on the North and South Korea?
Yeah, this is your field of expertise, the relationship there.
It's a mess.
Clearly.
It's been a mess since the 1940s.
Yeah.
If we look at it, if you try to give a rational face to what the North Koreans are doing, it's very difficult to provide any kind of rational face for them.
Right.
Because their leader is
Slightly irrational.
no, more than slightly.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny,
I
it's
bathe
funny
in
they
cognac,
compare
so-
Donald Trump to him.
Well,
They're very similar.
Totally
That's
unfair. Yeah.
Use Donald Trump's phrase, he's a nutcase.
Yeah.
And
I like how McCain described him a little better, actually. But
Yeah, McCain has a good one.
he nailed it.
Probably can't say it on the radio.
But no, you can't. But what we've got is a situation where after 9/11, it appears at least that the Korean military infrastructure figured that the only thing they could do was to build a weapon. It was the only way they were going to protect themselves from an American invasion, American and South Korean invasion. They're terrified. The North Koreans are, the North leadership.
Legitimately scared that we are going to invade
Yes.
them.
Well, and legitimately scared that their regime is going to disintegrate.
Right.
Poverty there, they rank, if I remember correctly, 194th economically in the world out of 198 countries.
Wow.
So, I mean, you're talking about dirt poverty.
It's because our leader has all the money.
and I understand
right.
they
That's right.
blame that on us, right?
They do. They
Yeah.
blame us.
That's the propaganda
Yeah,
that they put out.
That's the and that's what he sells. He
That's the reason why they can't eat is
Oh,
because
well,
of
he
the
has
United States.
like
Right.
30 harem and he has
Yeah.
whatever
right,
alcohol
exactly.
he
Well,
wants.
he brings in when he was in prep school as a kid, he fell in love with Swedish women.
Oh, so did I.
So does every pretty normal guy.
But he had the money to bring him in once he became dictator.
Oh, I did.
So he rotated. Now it's unfortunate for you.
Very unfortunate.
So he rotates them through on a regular basis.
Still does?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah.
the rotation, it's a one-way rotation.
Yeah, they brings them in and they don't get out, do they?
Oh no, they get out.
Oh, they
And
do
he
get
brings
out.
them in. He brings in his hookers and
Nice.
sends them home. But his the irrational nature of that country is such. Quick example: when Madeleine Albright went as Secretary of State in the late 1990s, they lined the roadway that came in from the airport into the Capitol with fake houses, a Potemkin village. Think about Disney's back studio.
Yeah.
And it looked like there were these beautiful buildings that she was driving along. So all the feed that went out to the rest of the world, people were saying, well, how can they be that poor? Look at these nice buildings.
Oh my God.
And the whole thing was a fake.
Wow.
It's almost as bad as
Well, they're
China.
doing that with their weapons right now too.
Right, it
They're
is.
faking.
Yeah.
They have fake ballistic
Yeah.
missiles, fake
Yep.
lo-
They're like
launch-
these
yeah.
cardboard
Yeah.
missiles that they push down the street.
Right.
So-
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah. That's
that
exactly
brings
what
me
they
to
are.
my question. And we could talk all day about North Korea, but I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
Do you think that we should preemptively strike them based on how their behaviors act? Right now, with their behavior as
Right now,
aggressive as they
one
are.
of the really difficult things for striking them is that their whole nuclear facility is under a mountain, and we don't have the firepower to blow it up, unless we were to use really powerful nuclear weapons, which would obliterate most of the rest of
South Korea.
Southeast Asia.
Yeah, China doesn't want
Yeah,
that.
and China's not going to go along with that.
No.
So,
But are they could be bluffing on their whole.
no, we know that they've got nuclear weapons.
They've yet to
but-
launch anything substantial.
No, the last two missile launches were okay, but they're not going to hit us.
Right.
They can
That-
probably deliver something to Japan.
Right.
They can certainly deliver something south to Seoul.
Right.
I mean, you can spit.
So
and
how's the
hit Seoul.
relationship
Right.
with South Korea and North Korea? I mean, is it just
Is it as bad as we think?
Well, as one of you pointed out, or maybe it was Gary who pointed it out, this morning on the news, we had shooting going across the demilitarized zone
yes,
again.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And that happens on a relatively regular basis because the North Koreans provoke it.
Yeah.
This time, apparently, it was the South Koreans shooting back at North Korea, or at least that's the news that came out.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that news came out of North Korea or out of South Korea.
Well, our question in our pre-production meeting was, how powerful is South Korea? Could South Korea hold their own against North Korea?
Probably not, because the North Koreans have a much larger army.
Okay.
Plus, North Koreans invest heavily in military.
Yeah.
So-
You know,
I mean,
South Koreans do
that's
not.
one of the reasons why they starve.
I mean, South Korea, they're fairly good at technology, but
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't,
Big
you know,
time.
Yeah, it's
they
a very
don't-
sophisticated
time.
country.
Absolutely, but
Yeah.
as far as being military, they don't really have much.
No.
All right. So circling back to my question, if it were your call, would you preemptively strike North
I'd
Korea?
have to figure out what you could strike. You can't hit their nuclear facility because it's under a mountain.
Buried.
But other than their
Hit
nuclear
their launch.
So
launch
what are you going to hit?
facilities.
Well,
Yeah, you could hit launch facilities.
all those artillery pieces that they have along the DMZ, that seems like a pretty
Okay.
good. I mean, there's like 30,000 pieces of that. I heard.
Yes.
That would
It's
require
close to
an
that.
awful lot
Yeah,
of.
you're going to have to carpet bomb.
That's
Right.
exactly what's going through my mind. I mean, look at the
days.
Gulf War pictures. That was
For
20 years ago.
days.
Done.
Yeah.
You know, you can probably do that in an hour.
But no, you wouldn't be able to do it in an
Not
hour.
30, not 30,000 pieces.
Yeah.
And,
And then-
and a lot of that's underground. So as soon as your planes go by, they're going to pop the new stuff up and start firing.
Yeah.
And firing from the DMZ, you can hit Seoul easily.
Right.
Right.
with
So
that-
Seoul's the really, that's what we were talking about at our pre-meeting, is Seoul would be the real loser if anything happened. I don't see anybody else really getting affected. I think we would squash it. It's not like a Russia-U.S. thing, like mutually assured destruction, because there will be no destruction on the other end, except for, unfortunately, probably South Korea.
That's right.
But you know, it would. I think could be relatively quick and swift, and you know, we could knock them out to the point where it's a non-issue anymore.
But
then
the
question is
difficulty
the
then
nukes.
becomes, how do you take over the country?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mountainous zone, as we found in the Korean War.
Right.
Yeah.
We should have easily been able to roll over them.
Right.
We
The
couldn't.
Korean War was disastrous.
Well, they backed
Yeah.
off into China, and we wouldn't go after them in China.
Well, and the Chinese then came in.
The
Right,
question is,
right.
why
It
are
is all
Would the
these
Chinese come in
reasons-
again?
It's all these reasons why I am so against a preemptive strike in North Korea. I really feel like, I hate to say it, but we almost have to wait for them to do something first to South
Absolutely,
Korea or
absolutely.
I
Japan,
agree, yeah.
and then build a coalition of the Asian countries to really go in there and hammer North Korea and just obliterate them.
All right, we got to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to have Sonia on in a minute, but I do want to finish up with Dr. Douglas Astolfi before we bring Sonia on, and I want to ask him about the relationship with China and United States now, and how that is affecting the North Korean controversy.
That's exactly where I was going.
Perfect. Good. We'll be back in just a minute, guys, with China, North Korea, and Dr. Astolfi.
Everyone has a bank, but you definitely need a Frank. Lincoln Lending Group specializes in mortgages that banks won't touch, like loans for people with 1 day out of foreclosure, bankruptcy, and short sale. Call Frank today at 813-MORTGAGE, and remember, you drop the E and he drops the fee. Call Ryan at 813-PLUMBER for the most reliable professional plumber in town. Tampa Bay Plumbers is available day and night for your emergency plumbing needs. Find them on the web at tampaplumber.net and get a coupon for service. Do you have a roof leak but no one to trust? You need to call Doug with Suncoast Roofing Solutions at 888-888-ROOF, where honesty, integrity, and craftsmanship come first. Find them on the web at suncoastroofingsolutions.com. And now, your host of the Business Happy Hour, Frank Cotto.
Hey, Tampa Bay, welcome back. Dr. Astolfi has to leave in just a second, so we're going to wrap this up as quickly as possible. We were saying we could talk to this guy for hours, so we're going to have him back on the show, and we're going to specifically talk about North Korea and China. But before the break, the question was, how does our newfound relationship with China, how do you think it's going to affect the relationship with North Korea?
Well, I think if we can possibly iron out our problems with China, that's going to be the solution to the North Korean issue.
Right, because they truly control North Korea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where North Korea gets all of its money. That's where it gets whatever food it can import.
Right.
And that's the only place that'll take their goods.
Do you think China actually cares whether North Korea has nukes or not?
Yes.
You think they'd want them to not have nukes?
I would think they do not want them to have nukes.
Right, because if anything, if something breaks out, they're going to reap fallout. It's going to hurt their
well,
country.
You don't want anybody throwing nukes in your backyard.
Right, right. But I'm okay if they throw them on the other side. Yeah. In another city, maybe.
Right. Well, especially if it ruined a roof and we could,
That's right. Do nukes mess up roofs, Doug?
Oh, yeah.
How about galvanized, Ryan? Galvanized? Can we do galvanized?
Yeah, I don't think
Has anyone been to Japan?
No.
Where they dropped the H-bomb?
Yeah, good point. Roofs don't look so good over there, do
No,
they?
I heard it looks great over there now.
Oh, I bet.
No, I heard it
We kind of did them a favor, actually.
So, so I think the Chinese definitely do not want the North Koreans to build up a nuclear arsenal.
So that you heard it here, guys. The key to the problem in North Korea is China.
Which it seems like Trump's taken that approach.
Yeah. So I think
And
so.
that is the right approach.
Are you somewhat in agreement with his approach right now?
I am.
Okay, good.
On that particular
Yeah.
issue.
The only let me be clear. The only issue that Dr. Douglas Astolfi is going to agree with Trump on is the China relations. We are good with that. We're going to have you on again. We loved you as a guest. You are a wonderful guest. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming on.
guys. It
Thank
was
you
fun.
very much.
Absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to bring on Sonia Valorand, the superstar realtor for Robert Slack Fine Homes. She does specialize in properties located in Pasco, Pinellas, and Hudson, which is interesting. I'm going to bring up something about Hudson. We've got about 5 minutes to talk to Sonia right now. And if you've got a pen and you're looking for a realtor in Pasco, Pinellas, or Hudson, call 727-478-1815. 727-478-1815. How we doing, Sonia?
Good, how are you?
Doing great, doing great. You can pull that mic a little closer to you. Everybody wants to hear your beautiful voice.
Oh, thank you.
No problem, no problem. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Real estate, it's on everybody's mind right now. The market is hot. I mean, what do you think about the market going into the summer?
Oh, it's getting hotter.
Yeah.
It's definitely the summer is known to be the fastest time
Yeah.
for things to move.
Absolutely. It's a seller's market.
It definitely is.
Seller's market in the summer. And what that means, guys, is, if you're looking to sell your house, you're probably going to sell very quickly. And you're probably going to get the money you want.
And I would think the Pasco Hudson area, the price point's a lot different than Tampa and Pinellas and certain areas. So.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Sonia?
Yes, definitely more affordable.
Yeah. More for your money.
Way more. The more north you go,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Now, you
what
deal with a
can
lot of
get.
new construction homes, or?
Yeah, they're building a lot in Trinity and
Okay.
Wesley.
Yep. Yep.
So I have a question for you and Frank. I'm looking for some recreational land, like about 20 acres maybe, and I can't afford it in Odessa. Actually, I probably could. I just have to sell everything else. But so I want to go further north, probably up towards Hudson, Spring Hill, maybe even further. What type of programs are there available for someone like me that just wants to buy raw land, and how much can I expect to get for a couple $100,000 up there in that area?
Well, I'll let Sonia tell you what she thinks she might get for a couple $100,000 on the land, but I would say that the mortgage programs, unfortunately, there's not a lot out there for raw land right now.
Really? Not
No.
even if you want to build eventually?
Okay, so that's a different story. If you want to actually buy land to build a single-family house on, a primary residence, there's a lot of banks who will
Oh, so
actually do
you
that.
can't just build like a shed or.
No, because what they're looking looking for is they're looking for the long-term loan.
A one-bedroom, just do a one-bedroom, one-bath, little,
No, Ryan's a plumber.
Home.
He's gonna
do a small house,
yeah,
Ryan.
a small house.
That's a new trend. They're really building these little
Ryan
small
won't even
homes.
fit in a small house. Come on.
No. Have you seen my toys?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
But my point is that to get this loan, you just build one of those little small
Ryan's
homes. Like
fifth
600
wheel is 3 times the size of any small house.
But I'm trying to get around his problem, all right?
Couldn't I also buy like a really dilapidated mobile home on a lot of property?
Yeah.
Conventionally?
Really? What do you think, Sonia? Really dilapidated? We don't like that.
A little
Jim.
more of a challenge.
Probably won't get
If it was
financing.
conventional?
Yeah, you can use conventional or FHA for mobile homes. Yes, at least
I
with
wouldn't do
Lincoln Lending.
FHA. I'm just saying, couldn't I get a conventional loan?
You could, but it has to be built after '76. Which I hope. I mean, it has to be in good condition.
Find me a mobile home with 20+ acres.
There you go.
Somewhere
Good
up
luck with
north.
that.
I'm on it. I'm
Seriously.
on it.
Brian, I was going to mention something called River Ranch. Have you looked into River Ranch?
No, sir.
I'll talk to you about that later, but listeners, look up River Ranch. It's really interesting. If you like quads and four-wheelers and a lot of land to run around on, there's a place called River Ranch that is basically built for that, and it's kind of on the way to Orlando, the I-4 corridor, I believe. I don't mistake about that, but you can buy small parcels of land, and you get yourself like a 2 or 3 acre little plot, 1 to 2 acre, whatever, just big enough to park your RV and things you need, and then you have hundreds of acres to run around on. Mud pits and all
that's
kinds
shared?
of stuff. Yeah, you're shared. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
That's
pretty cool. But Sonia, the one thing I wanted to mention, we only have a minute and a half, is Hudson. If you guys are looking for anything that's on the water, Sonia and I were talking. Hudson has some really cheap waterfront properties on little inlets and lakes and things that lead out into open water.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
It's surprising once you start looking around what you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
more
I think
out there than you
isn't
think.
the only issue with when you start going further north in the Gulf, it's very, very shallow.
Yeah, it's real shallow. Yeah, you have to go, like if you want to go to Middle Grounds, it's, an hour and a half longer and things like that. If you want to get out there a bit farther north, you
Yes.
Weren't you looking for a certain doctor, or weren't you working a deal in that area, like for a couple acres for a certain doctor that we know?
Yeah.
Wasn't that
I
in
was.
Hudson?
It is a doctor. Yeah, it's I don't know if I should mention, but he has
definitely
a
not.
radio show as well.
But
and,
that
he's a spine guy. Let's put it that way.
That property was amazing.
And that guy had Spanish water rights, which means
Yes.
you own down to the silt, and he could put a bridge and prevent, or a dam and prevent people from going on his property. Very interesting.
I want that house too.
I want that house.
Nice,
Yeah, that's
we're
about
on
10
it.
mil. But that's just like that's about 6 minutes of work for Ryan. So hey, Sonia, guys, it's been a great show. We are really happy you're on. I want to give your cell phone number out, and if anybody calls Sonia or mentions her on the Business Happy Hour, Lincoln Lending is going to cut you a special deal with your fees. So make sure you call her at 727-478-1815. I hope you had a good time on the show.
Oh, it was amazing. Thank you so much.
No problem. We'll have you on again, Sonia. And
Sounds
guys,
good.
make sure you watch us on Facebook, Business Happy Hour, YouTube us, like us. We will see you next week with even more exciting guests.